and only man here to teach you how to be a better pilot in Guns of Icarus Online. First, a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Only Man. I am a competitive pilot within the clan Sacrilege, also known as SAC. Um, I did competitions within Hephaestus Challenge and within Sunday Community Scrimmages, as well as any other community events that came up. I tend to fly mainly Spire, and as well as a little bit of Junker and Goldfish. Now, I am doing this video, as well as any other videos in the future, to try and show you a view of a side that's kind of unknown in Guns of Icarus, I think, which is the competitive side. After watching some videos made by famous StarCraft casters and League of Legends pros and whatnot, I've seen that they have a really strong sense of how their competition operates, and hoping I can maybe give some of that to you guys. All right, well, let's get down to it. There are 6 major steps being a good pilot, Guns of Icarus Online, and I will give them to you. The first one, which is absolutely, positively, critically the most important, is communication. Communication is the most important skill of the pilot, in front of every other thing. I don't care how good you are at steering your ship, how good you are at predicting the enemy, any of that. It's not going to matter if you can't communicate. And for instance, I have been on ships where I am with a crew of very novice players, players that have less than 50 games under their belt. And I will bring out a Spire, which is arguably the hardest ship to crew in the game. Maybe the Mobula is up there, but honestly, I would have to say Spire. But and we have done decently, if not well, because I know how to communicate with my crew. I know that's very important, and if you just lead people, tell them what to do in a polite, concise manner, then you can accomplish quite a bit. There's very little mechanics that aren't immediately seen at the surface. Go repair your hull, go buff your engine, whatnot. It's very apparent. There's no little things that you have to do, little timings. I mean, maybe understanding when to chem spray and when to buff and whatnot, keeping that timer in your head. But honestly, other than that, there's not much surface mechanics. So, and vice versa. I mean, there have been times where I've been an engineer or a gunner with a captain who maybe does not have the best mechanical skills, but he can communicate, or he or she can communicate, and I can communicate back to them, maybe help them out. So, number 1, as I said, communication. Most important thing. And all the other ones, it'll be in a numerical listing, but don't consider those to be of any more importance than each other. The only one that should stand out above the rest is honestly communication. The second one I will talk about is ship awareness. And this kind of goes along with communication. You know what's happening with your ship. When you got pop balloons, when you got your engines are failing, your guns are failing. So, for instance, I'm in a Pyramidion, and one thing about Pyramidians is their turning rate is not the best. You have to use Phoenix Claw if you want to make very sharp turns. However, Phoenix Claw hurts your engines. So, whenever, let's say that you have a Spire in front of you and you want to go in for a Gatling, strip his armor, then go for a ram, which can almost instantly kill a Spire, if not kill them, depending on their health. Maybe you should think, well, my engines are kind of torn up right now. I'm not going to have enough time to turn around if I were to miss the ram. So maybe I won't do the ram. Or For instance, I have a carronade, a heavy carronade goldfish coming at me. Maybe I should focus on making sure everything's at tip-top shape, because if you've played the game a little bit, even though carronades will destroy components very fast, components and weapons. So ship awareness, very important. Also, to go along with ship awareness, is making sure your arcs are in check, knowing which area your ship is pointed to. Because I mean, when you're looking around with your mouse and you're moving in a different direction, it can kind of be hard to keep track of where everything's facing. So that's basically ship awareness, kind of wrapped up. The third thing is map awareness. Map awareness comes down to where you are relative within the map, and also where you are relative to your ally on the map. So a map that comes to mind is Battle on the Dunes. So I wouldn't say come to mind, but we'll use as an example. So Battle on the Dunes. This is kind of a plain map, so you may be like, only map. Why are we talking about map awareness on one of the most plain maps? But yeah, but there are a lot of things that you have to take into account for that are immediately obvious, such as dunes. So whenever you are starting to dip down and dip back up to try and avoid like lumberjack fire or something like that, there are areas on that map where there are higher dunes. So that means when you're thinking, oh, okay, I got quite a bit of elevation to play with, may not. You may think that you're doing fine, then you end up scraping the bottom, which if you're hurting on hull or you're hurting on armor, that could be quite devastating. As well as it can hurt your inertia and the directions you're trying to travel. So I mean that's just one example, but there are many different parts of that. Like Parrot and Rumble, for instance, you want to be aware of all the obstacles that are coming up. So one thing that I will see a lot of novice pilots do is they will get very narrow vision. They'll think, okay, enemies here, that's where I want to go. So I'm just going to keep going and screw whatever is going on. You can't think about that. If you play Guns of Icarus for a little bit, you'll understand that even though it can appear fast, it's not a very fast-paced game. The game is very methodical in everything you do. There are obvious decisions and choices that could be made that span a couple seconds, even minutes. So you want to use that time. You don't have to rush in. You don't have to be throw caution out the window. You can take a little bit and think of how you can approach your enemy relative to your map. Canyons, for instance, that's another good one. There are many different ways that you can ambush enemies, and many different ways you can be ambushed. But it all comes down to map. And one of the ways that you learn that is just honestly by playing. Keep playing as pilot, and then learn all the little divots, learn all the little pipes you can follow to get to the other side. And I mean, it'll come to you. Just make sure you keep that in mind whenever you load into a game. That maybe I don't have to just go at the enemy this way. Maybe there are other different ways, and vice versa. Maybe there are different ways the enemy can come to me. All right. So the fourth one we're going to talk about is ship. Oop. Yeah, let me fix that. Make it all nice and neat. Ship knowledge. So this one is pretty obvious. Know your ship. Know what your ship can do, know what your ship can't do, know how your ship operates. Again, that comes a lot with playing. But it also comes a lot with experimenting as well. One thing that whenever I joined Sacrilege, that I tried to do was get a handle on every single ship. Because if you keep up with the competitive scene at all, or even if you don't, here's some little bit of news. Sacrilege has been known. We don't take the same ships all the time. We never have the same kind of playstyle. We always adjust our playstyle to different enemies or whatnot. So I knew being a pilot for that clan, I can end up flying many different ships. So one of the things you can do is load up into a training room and just play. You can load up training dummies and I would just experiment with how fast you can turn your ship, how fast you can ascend, descend, all that stuff. Where how many arcs you can make. For instance, the Mobula, you can have 4 guns firing at one time. If the pilot does a little parkour trick to jump onto the top gun, you can. That's something that you'll have to practice, that you'll have to learn. But if you know that, that can be very deadly. You can Mobula is a very very quick killing ship. It can finish someone off in 15 seconds if you know how to use it. But that just all comes with practice. So yeah, load up into your public games or whatnot, or play with your friends. But also keep in mind that training room is there for a reason. It is there to help you. So pick out the. I What I like to do is I like to train 2 ships, keep those and focus really hard on them. For instance, for me right now, since I'm kind of getting back into where I was right before I had all my internet issues, I've been really flying a lot of Spire and a lot of Goldfish because those are what I consider my bread and butter. And I just run those ships all the time in training room and in public games, and get the feeling of how I can turn to keep arc while keeping our guns on arc and whatnot, and how fast I can descend or ascend while my gunner is able to maintain the way he's firing. So definitely use that training room for that 4th step. It's there for you. Use it, please do. Alright, so the 5th one would be gun knowledge. Alright. To go along with ship knowledge, gun knowledge, you can use that in the training room. One gun that comes to mind is the Lumberjack. That is my favorite gun of all time. I love it. It's very good at what it does. It can totally incapacitate a ship, make it, damn near useless at a very long range. So that's one ship that I encourage. If you call yourself a gun, if you want to practice gunning, or especially as a pilot, you want to know how your guns work. And for pilot, the main thing about this is arcs. You want to know how you can position your ship while still being able to keep arcs. For instance, on a junker, if you're using a meta junker, for instance, if you have good gun knowledge as well as ship knowledge, you would know, like, if you want to take Artemis, Hades, Artemis on the left hand side, for instance, with Hades on the bottom, you can use the rungs of your of the ladder on the left hand of your ship to be able to line up all 3 of those guns at the same place. And for the Mobula as well, you can use the little spokes on the right in front of the steering wheel to be able to line up all your guns. So I would say that gun knowledge and ship knowledge obviously they have a lot to do with each other, but I would encourage as well, go into the training room, play around with the guns, know the limitations of the guns that you're putting on your ship, because that's your responsibility. Since you're the pilot, they have to go. That's your ship that you're providing your crew with, so you need to know how that works. You need to know, well, if I'm descending too fast to be able to maintain ship guns on Earth and whatnot. And also, another thing that a lot of people don't think about is whenever you go into an engagement, how much health are your guns gonna have? Because it's really important. If you're going to be aggressive, you can't be aggressive without guns. So keep those things in mind. Keep in mind where the guns are on your ship, the arcs of them, reload time, and their capabilities. And the 6th and final one is attitude. One of the things I love the most about this game is its community as a whole, very good. And the reason for this is we all have to work together. Now, unlike League of Legends or other games which many consider have very toxic communities, we have built-in communication, voice communication, that you have to use to do well. even at the upper levels of gameplay, between some of the best pilots or best crews in the game, if you jump on comms with them, everyone's talking. Everyone's saying, I hear this, I hear that, or I'm reloading this. And the reason why that's allowed to happen, that level of maturity is allowed to happen, is because of attitude. So as the pilot, you are the commander of your ship. You are in charge. You need to act like it, honestly. You need to don't be insulting. That's just going to make your crew not care. And honestly, it's every time they're going to see you, they're not going to want to play with you. Like, one thing about this game is it's very small, so you can build a bad reputation very fast. Um, Believe me, I have quite the block list because of just players that I know that after a while playing with them, this guy doesn't care. He just wants to goof off or just wants to insult people, stuff like that. I'm gonna make sure I don't play with him or her. So, be I wouldn't say be forceful. Be meaningful in what you say, because I mean, as I said, you're in charge of your ship. That's what you say should go. Unless someone has been playing a little bit more, they'll give you advice, but hopefully they do it in the same respectful manner as you would. But don't be a dick about it. This is these people have the potential of being really, really good friends. I've made very good friends on this game. And that's just because I go in with an attitude of I want to be good at this game and I want to have a good time. And if you care about being good, which I hope you would by watching this video, then you should know I need to approach it with a level of maturity and a level of respect that I would expect my crew to give me. So that, I mean, is right up there with communication, I would say, because if you don't have the right attitude, you're not going to succeed as a pilot. It just won't happen. Eventually, the community will start catching up to you. People won't want to crew with you. People won't want you in their clan. I mean, that's not fun. You're playing this game, to have fun, to be decent. So reflect that in the way that you approach people. And I mean, that's just not a Guns of Icarus thing. That's a life thing. But anyway, yep, that's about it for what I have for this video. Pretty short and sweet. I hope you got some good information. I will be doing some more detailed videos, especially about different ships. I will take them out to the training room, as well as post some gameplay of me doing some games from my point of view. So hopefully you can learn something, and you can learn from my mistakes, because there will be some. I guarantee you that I am not perfect by any means, but also learn from the things I do right. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe. I'll for more videos in the future of Guns of Icarus. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.